morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank you for joining us today. We're going to share our last Chakra Insight for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty exciting. We have 4 choices left. Chances are good we'll get a heart chakra.
Very good.
But we're not certain of that.
Right.
Shannon wore her green today too.
I'm all green. I've been using my heart chakra essential oils that I got from our participation at the Heart Light celebration.
Yes.
So I'm trying to manifest a heart chakra for us.
She's really trying to manifest that, so we'll see. We'll see if that happens today. And so we were going to talk about a little bit more about the action step that we've been working on for 2 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say I'm glad to be back here, and I've been out of town for a while, so I'm reintegrating back into my life here in Alabama. And so it's interesting, like, getting back into it, taking the action steps when you're away, and then when you're back into your space, it kind of shifts things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and especially like with you, it traveled so many time zones. That's a major shift in energy. You know, the circadian rhythms get off and all of that. So yeah, to be back here takes a minute to transition.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And so taking your time with the action steps is also a good thing.
Yes. Yep. So this week for me, I found how important it is to set an intention prior to taking action, because I tend to be I'm a recovering perfectionist, in the words of Brene Brown. I'm a recovering perfectionist. So although I do want things to be perfect, I also want to get them done quickly. Those things don't work very well together.
No.
So taking a few moments to sit before I take any major actions. I've had some pretty moderate size household tasks that we wanted to take this last week, like fixing the fence and whatnot. So knowing beforehand, okay, what do we need? What tools do we need? What we need to power the drill up, charge the drill, like knowing beforehand, okay, these are the things that need to get done, because there's nothing more frustrating than, say, needing to use power tools that aren't charged.
Right.
And then what ends up happening is you make more mistakes when you're not intentional with your action. You get frustrated quicker because now you don't have what you need when you need it, and ultimately it ends up taking double the amount of time that it would have if you had set intention and planned ahead of time. So the balance is, though, that if we can just stew in that intention, in that planning mode for a long time. So finding our sweet spot almost of intention and planning, and knowing when we're now crossing over to procrastination. So knowing, okay, here I've set my plan, I know what I need to do, I've got everything I need, and now it's time to take action.
Right.
And not making kind of excuses for, I might need this, or this might happen.
Right, because then it turns into overwhelm.
Yes. So really, my point being that it's not just about taking action, it's about taking mindful action. So knowing the difference for yourself, being able to find that balance of mindful action instead of mindless action.
Right.
Yes.
And I really liked Shannon's post the other day. It was a self-care checklist, and it had the little emoji hearts on it, and the different colors represented different aspects of your life that you wanted to focus on. One was like spending quality time with others, spending time working on your self-care, your feeding your soul. So there was all different categories, and you go back and look at it too. But it really struck a chord with me, because when I read the list, I was like, I want to do all of those things. Like, all those things are important. Doing activities for your body, cleaning your house, all that stuff. But if I tried to go into the day doing all of that, I would get overwhelmed and probably not hardly get any of that done.
Right.
So I went through and I actually selected 2 of the ones that I wanted to do. And throughout my day, I made choices based on that intention. So I found that it was easier to make choices, easier to take action, and at the end of the day, I ended up pretty much doing all the things, But just having that focused intention made it easier to take action, mindful action, because I knew what I wanted to focus on during the day, and I did, and it made my day go by easier, and I felt like more accomplished, or like I really followed through with my intention by the end of the day.
That's great. And we had spoken before we started our live feed about how spreading yourself too thin, it just kind of dissipates the energy for an action. So having that focused intention, it inevitably will probably make you more productive in the end. Yeah.
Yes. Because if you're spending quality time with someone and you're thinking, I should be cleaning the house, I should be exercising, at the same time your energy is scattered. So,
yes,
lining it up.
Yep. Presence.
Right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Wonderful.
All right, so we're going to step forward this week and see which chakra we are going to focus on now. So Shannon's going to pick today.
Oh, am I?
Yes.
Okay. Picking green. There's something green here.
She did.
You guys, I'm so excited. I got compassion, caring, empathy, acceptance, and gentleness.
Oh.
And it's really pretty card. I'm trying to get it so it's not glaring. We'll figure it out. There, that's kind of sort of good.
All right, so compassion, the card says caring, empathy, acceptance, and gentleness. It says release, accept, gently rise above. Your truest path forward is the path of compassion. The story in the card: with its roots in the mud and a stem reaching up through murky waters, the lotus flower rises above the surface to open its heaven-scented petals. At night it will close and retreat once again into the waters, only to emerge at dawn, untouched by impurity, as it openly shares its pristine beauty with the world. The lotus reveals to us a model for enlightenment through the grace and power of compassion. So the message for the card says that the Latin word for compassion literally means co-suffering. This card is not an invitation to suffer, that's good, but rather to allow yourself and others to rise up beyond sufferings through the light of genuine empathy and understanding. The call to compassion is a call to accept people and situations for who they are and where they are at. And we let go of judgment and the need to fix a situation or to label things as good or bad. We begin to realize that every situation carries with it a gift, and that we have a unique lesson to learn. By judging or focusing on each other's faults, we contribute to keeping each other stuck in those places. Often our lack of acceptance of other people stems from a deeper judgment of ourselves. As we learn to see and treat each other in our highest light, we help open the passage for each to find his or her way up into the sun. So before you judge someone for their shortcomings or mistakes, take a moment to genuinely feel what it's like to stand in their shoes. Experience the world as they might and allow yourself to drop into a space of compassion. See them rising up and shining in full glory. See yourself in the same way. Yes, it is also time to have compassion with yourself. Treat yourself with the same love and acceptance that you would share with someone that you deeply care about. Talk to yourself in a loving way. Encourage yourself. Look for the positive in your life. Remember that you are human and you are learning, growing, and evolving each day. So love your humanness and support each rising step on this journey with compassion. Honor yourself and others with the flower of compassion.
This one might be my favorite.
Really?
Yeah.
Yay.
I think so.
This is a good one for me.
It is. And it's interesting to hear the Latin translation being co-suffering, because I take it as a compound word of like calm, like community, and passion. So being passionate or loving about our community, extending to ourselves first and foremost, and then out into the world. I think what is so challenging about compassion is because there are people who do some really heinous things in the world, and it is very easy to judge that person and just say, they're just a terrible, evil, horrible person. And I am not. You know, I don't do those things. What's really difficult with compassion is to recognize that there is something, and there's still a seed of good in that person in some way. And I came across something in a book one time that talked about when it comes to loving your mother. Like, at the end of the day, every person has someone that they love, you know, so even that little seed of good inside even the worst individual, and recognizing that we all have that shared community, and recognizing that everyone is capable of good and everyone is capable of evil, and that it's always a reflection of what's going on inside the person, what they choose to present to the world. It's a really hard lesson.
Right.
And I think for me, it's a good reminder to say, am I being a hypocrite? You know, if I'm judging somebody else based on their actions, that I feel are unkind or whatever, well, have I done something unkind before? Have I said something unkind before? It's a good lesson in, it's just not worth being a hypocrite.
Right. We're all human.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think sometimes the most challenging person to be compassionate with is ourselves, because we see everything going on inside every thought, and so it's really easy to judge ourselves. But like you said, we all have all aspects of humankind within us. So sometimes people express certain ones more than others based on their circumstances. But just finding when we are able to be compassionate with those places in ourselves that we don't like, then we will be able to be more compassionate to other people.
Yes.
So I find that when if I'm being really judgmental of other people, I recognize, because whenever we see a pattern outside, it reflects a pattern inside. So then I'm like, okay, where am I judging myself a lot right now? And so being able to show that love and compassion for myself sometimes is really challenging. But then it just naturally, it's not like you make yourself be compassionate to someone else. It just naturally happens when we're compassionate with ourselves.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's the biggest challenge, because I've felt like for myself, I mean, I've made some major blunders in my life, things that you wish you could go back and do better with. But when I have gotten softer with myself and given myself that compassion, it's so much easier to be kind to others when you forgive yourself. We all make mistakes. We all, there's probably mistakes that we've all made where we're like, oh my gosh, that was horrific that I did or said or whatever it was. But at the end of the day, it's not going to serve you to be, unkind to yourself about it and keep berating yourself about it and judging yourself for it. So just, having that gentle compassion for yourself and saying, I actually had a moment where I went and stood in the mirror and I was like, I forgive you. I forgive you. And I just repeated it until it really sunk in. And that was kind of a turning point for me. And it seems silly, it is hard to go look at yourself in the mirror and do that practice, but you'll find that you'll get much softer with myself. I make mistakes all the time. And if someone calls me out on them, I'm like, yeah, I did. Thank you for telling me.
Right.
And then if I get judgment from others, then I'm kind of like, well, maybe they're having a hard time today.
Right.
So it's a practice, but it's one that you can do little by little, and definitely starting off with yourself, being compassionate towards yourself.
Right. And I don't know if you noticed, but when you were talking, you kept putting your hand on your heart like this.
Did I?
So that's one way to we do that naturally because we're tuning in to our hearts, and so when something's meaningful to us, we go like this. So maybe that could be a reminder of compassion for your heart.
Yeah. So the next time you're driving, hopefully you're not, hey Sarah and Nikki and June, hopefully you're not driving and watching this, but the next time you're driving, and inevitably you will probably get cut off, just put your hand on your heart. And I think I really love that old Southern saying, oh, bless their heart. Just do that maybe.
Right.
Bless their heart.
And bless my heart if I make a huge mistake.
Yeah, if you cut the person off in traffic.
Right, which I have definitely
bless my heart. Yeah. Exactly.
No matter what they're doing, bless your own heart.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
I like that.
Great. Okay, so that's what we will focus on this week. Next week we're going to do have a little new approach starting for September, so we will let you in on the details of that. Some new things coming. So look forward to that. But
Yeah.
for right now, let's all focus on, this is the way we're, and I like how we're like sending off, like this is the end of the one chapter, and we're ending it with compassion. So we've done all the work on all the other chakras,
Yes.
and now we're finally letting it seep into our hearts.
Yeah. And we kind of foretold that happening. Like, we noticed that so many heart chakra cards were waiting until the end. It's like, we have to do all this work, because truly compassion is probably the hardest, the hardest action to take.
And probably the best.
Yeah.
And I think we've been doing like 38 weeks now, so we have really been...
We've been in there, in the trenches.
In the trenches of the chakras.
Yes. We want to say thank you to everyone that stopped by at the Heartlight celebration on Saturday. We had such a wonderful time, and it was wonderful to see all of our friends from the chakra journey and to make new ones.
Yes.
And welcome to anyone who signed up and has become a part of the group. It'll be a wonderful journey together.
Yes. All right. Well, you guys have a good week. Hand on your heart.
Yes.
Namaste.
Namaste.